Hello, my YouTube friends. My name is David Such, and I'm a near-death experience researcher. And today we're going to talk about the first level of heaven and what it's like, in particular, the senses. Now, to say there's levels in heaven is kind of odd. It's like saying, how many levels of love do you have for your children? There really are no set levels, but there are countless environments in heaven, all created by the collective group of consciousnesses that are there. Now, this first level is somewhat laid out like Earth. So in the higher levels, you're a sphere of consciousness and awareness. But in that first level of heaven, you have a light body, and there are roads and buildings and houses and trees and parks and gardens and lakes and mountains. Similar to Earth, but much, much more beautiful. So one near-death experiencer, he said that in his NDE, he was brought into a park in heaven, and he said it was very beautiful. And the question was, well, how beautiful was it? Like Yosemite? And for those of you who don't know, Yosemite National Park in California is a very beautiful park, and people come from all over the world to see it. It's considered one of the most beautiful places in the world. And he said, maybe 100 times more beautiful than Yosemite. So let's first talk about the colors. Here on Earth, we have three primary colors: red, blue, and yellow. Or if you're talking about a TV set, red, blue, and green. And a mixture of those three colors make up all the colors of the rainbow. Well, many people in their near-death experience testimonies talked about the beautiful colors of heaven, these rich, vibrant pastels, and talking about colors we don't have here on Earth. Well, the reason for that is there are over 80 primary colors in heaven. So it's really a buffet for the senses up there in terms of vision. Now, we do have our hearing as well in heaven, but hearing is not really used for communication, because in heaven there is a mind-to-mind communication, which is very fast, very efficient, and it's impossible to have a misunderstanding with that communication. Our hearing is more for the beautiful music of heaven, and people have said in their near-death experiences that our most beautiful music on earth sounds like a child banging on a pan with a stick, in comparison to the music of heaven. And if you want to hear the most beautiful description of the music of heaven, Don Piper, in his book about his near-death experience, 90 Minutes in Heaven, has a great description of the music. As a matter of fact, I have that quote in my book as well. There's some other interesting things about heaven. There's no lag between thought and action. So at the same time you think something, the action takes place. For instance, one man was talking about reaching down to pick a flower, and the moment he thought it, he had already reached down and picked the flower up. Our vision doesn't have limits, so you can see 360 degrees around, no blind spots behind us. And you can look at a flower petal on a mountain 100 miles away, and you can count all the petals, and you can even zoom in closer and look at the molecular structure that the flower is made from. Transportation is done by either walking, flying, or just wishing yourself into a new place, and you're instantaneously there. They have giant trees that tower far higher than our redwoods and sequoias. There are snow-covered mountains. There are beautiful lakes and rivers. And interestingly enough, you can actually go underwater and you don't have a need to breathe. And when you come out of the water, you're instantaneously dry. Now, another thing that's interesting about heaven is the place is immaculately beautiful and spotless. There's no trash or brown leaves or dead things or anything like that. The whole place is self-cleaning. And an example of this would be one woman who was walking through heaven and picked what was like a peach, but much tastier. And when she finished it, she threw the seed on the ground, and it instantly dissolved into the green grass. So it is a beautiful place, beauty beyond description. It is a buffet for the senses, and that is one of the many things I'm looking forward to in the afterlife, is just seeing the sheer beauty of heaven. If you imagine the most beautiful places on earth, nature here is just so incredibly beautiful, and heaven's 100 times or 500 times that. Well, that's about it for today. Thanks for watching. And you can go to my website, godtookmyclothes.com, if you're interested in getting my book or getting a spiritual counseling session. See you on the next show.